Okay, so today I wanted to talk about nature and the amount of nature that we have or have not been receiving in recent weeks, and something I have been particularly interested in regarding research, which is how to incorporate nature into places where nature typically is not. So I have here for you the one and only beautiful Mount Rainier for your viewing pleasure. I'm not sure if the mountain is out today. I have not had a chance to go look myself, but hopefully later. So something that comes to mind whenever I hear about nature and how we need to get outdoors more is this type of cartoon, which is the idea that when we were all kids and mom said, you guys need to go outside and play, we should be rolling around in the dirt, we should be, getting filthy and all of our exercise and things like that. And where does this idea come from? That the natural world is better than sitting in front of screens all day? And do we have data to support this? Well, the short answer is yes, but it's more interesting for me to look back even further about where that research probably came from initially. We have lots of information about prior cultures and historically that people look to the natural world for inspiration for their religion, for their spiritual practice, and that they have made something or different types of things to represent the importance of nature in their everyday lives. And now, as we've gone into more specific research studies, we've found that there are many, many different ways to experience nature that aren't in a giant hike through Mount Everest or exploring the rainforest or something like that, that our experience in nature is varied. And this is a paper that came out a couple of years ago, and actually a couple of colleagues, research colleagues of mine, contributed to this paper. And what they did was to capture what nature looks like. They looked at what people were doing, and they started arranging these on some sort of a kind of a scale or a grid, trying to understand on a large scale what things you could be doing, going on that big wilderness adventure like hiking up Everest or Kilimanjaro, to just doing more hands-on activities in your home. So something a little lower on a scale, but something that you could do more frequently, right? And then understanding that even just potted plants, things that are physically present in your space at home, might also be providing benefit. So they gathered all this data to try and understand whether the importance of nature had anything to do with frequency versus spatial scale, whether there was a magical combination of these things that was really creating this benefit that we knew was occurring in people, and in particular in adults. One of my colleagues is Greg Brotman, and he's a psychologist, or sorry, he's not a psychologist. Peter Kahn is a psychologist. Gregory Brotman is an ecologist, but he does a lot of work in the area of psychology and ecology and the integration between them. Dr. Brotman did this really interesting study where he compared individuals, older adults, who are going out into a nature-based activity, so something like hiking Mount Si or just walking in the Arboretum, for example, versus people who are going out for walks in urban areas. So if you were to compare going for a walk for a 45-minute time in the Arboretum or something that was more wooded, something that's more wild, versus those who were going out into down by Pike Place Market or downtown. And what they found was not only were there emotional, so self-reported emotional benefits from being in the trees and the woods near the water, but they also, interestingly, found that there were actual changes in the brain that were occurring with this. So people were reporting less or lower amounts of rumination. And in turn, in their actual brain, these are fMRIs, these are functional imaging scans. What they were noticing is this area in the brain, which is up in this frontal area. This is the front of the brain, that's the back. We're looking at it from the side. That this area is what we call the prefrontal cortex. It's this fancy word up here. And it has to do a lot with emotion regulation. And what they found was we were seeing reduced rumination and also reduced prefrontal cortex activation associated with nature, so natural landscape walks, but not necessarily those in urban environments. That's pretty amazing that we can break this down to something so neurological. So what can we do now that we know that there are benefits to being outside? And there are numerous ones, including stress reduction, lower cortisol levels. People report decreases in depression and anxiety, that we can target nature activities as an intervention. And some things that our program, so our Memory Brain Wellness Center programs, have looked at are opportunities in our own community. So we always preach our idea of living well with memory loss and dementia, and the ability to still do many activities of daily life and hobbies and leisure, even in the presence of memory loss. One of our programs that we've done is the Garden Discovery Walk program, and those are the photos that you're seeing here on this slide. These garden discovery walks are led by our friend, and you can call her kind of an adopted member of our clinic in many ways, Laura Rumpf, who is this gal right here. She's a horticultural therapist in Seattle and King County areas, and she has been the one leading the majority of our garden discovery walks over the past several years. We found in research that garden walks and being present in a garden space can reduce agitation in advanced dementia, increase positive affect and overall life satisfaction over time. So it's not a magical healing moment where you go once and it'll, you're cured and you're healed. But there's a component of a dose effect. So similar to you would take your vitamin B pill or something like that each morning, that having some sort of dose of nature provides these emotional and well-being benefits. So our Garden Discovery Walk program is currently on hiatus in these times that we can't be as close as these individuals are in these photos right now. But Laura, and with the help of her crafty husband, have put together videos, 2 videos currently, one in Bradner Gardens, which is this garden where they are right here, and then in another garden in Seward Park. And those are recently uploaded to our website, and this link will get you there when you get the website, or when you get the slides, you can click to go there. But they're hosted on YouTube, and you can go through a guided walk. The one in Bradner Gardens is about 45 minutes, and Laura does an incredible job of talking about the different plants and flora and fauna that you're seeing as you walk through this area. And also the Garden Discovery Walks are done in collaboration with Seattle Parks and Rec, specifically their dementia-friendly recreation programs, and Casey Chairs is the one who leads that program. And they also have a handful of other programs available for individuals. A shameless self-plug that myself and Mary Grace Becker created this program last year in 2019 that we entitled SOAR, which stands for Shared Outdoor Adventures for Resilience. And we created this program, this program came about actually in a car ride between she and I down to Olympia. And we thought, like, why can't we do something where we take folks outside and do some sort of integrated activity together? And we thought this was brilliant, so we decided to just make it happen. So we did 2 rounds of SOAR last year that both were on the challenge course in Bellevue. And these are a couple of photos from those 2 days, and it really makes me happy just thinking about what we were doing. This is, you know, less than 6 months ago that we were out, and look how close those people are standing together right now. My goodness. But we wanted to expand on this program where we were taking folks out to do challenge courses and what we call challenge by choice, which is doing things that are still comfortable for you, but push your limit just a little bit, and doing that in a natural environment. So in this case, we're out in the woods, we're out in the sunshine, and we're challenging people to do things that might be a little bit uncomfortable for them, both people with memory loss and their care partners. So Mary and I put our heads together of what we wanted to do for SOAR 2020. And we created this incredible calendar of events, and then COVID-19 happened. And so many of our SOAR activities are being held temporarily for the time being. We hope to get out there as soon as possible. Our plans were, and are, I will say are, to have several guided hikes, to do some group cycling, some boating classes, all with folks with memory loss and their care partners. And we'll have more information as some of that unfolds. So those were plenty of things that we can do once we can get back outside, but how can we get creative to bring the outdoors in? And I want to highlight a couple of groups that are doing great work with the active jellyfish, for example, in the Monterey Bay Aquarium, or the other zoos and aquariums around the country that are doing a lot of live streaming right now. And some are passive in the way that our beautiful jellyfish are right here. This is live, by the way. That's just what the jellyfish are doing right now. And then some are more guided. So they are using the zookeepers or other people who are working at the aquariums and guiding the guiding through an exhibit or some sort of informational content as you go through different information or videos within the zoo. This is one example. This is at the San Diego Zoo. And this is the giraffe and elephant exhibit. And they have a live stream. This is just a capture of their live stream, so similar to the video of the jellyfish. But you can watch it, but then they also have content if you want to discuss things or you want to have some questions or factoids. If you're the person who really loves to read the placards at the zoo and aquariums, they have that content too that you can integrate with the visuals. Another option is the virtual tours of several national parks. Now, there are a lot of opportunities for this in different levels, depending on what you're looking for. I'm going to highlight one that's being hosted by Google Arts and Culture. They're put together 5 different national park tours. These are the 5 listed here: Kenai Fjords, Hawaii Volcanoes, Carlsbad Caverns, Bryce Canyon, and the Dry Tortugas. What's interesting and intriguing about these is that it's not just a video or a scoping panoramic. What they are is actually interactive. So this is an example over here. This is from Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. And what you can do is it will zoom you into one part of the park, and then you can click on different things. In this case, I'm being prompted if I want to go and explore the lava tube. And then I can click on that. It's going to take me into the lava tube area, and then it will have information if I want more information about how lava tubes are formed. Or over here, it'll say, do you want to go look into this crevice? And I can say yes, and I can go look over there. So it's much more interactive than just a video or something that's more passive that you can watch. And the link is available here to go to any of those 5. I also encourage other things too. So what inspires us from nature can lead to books, it can lead to puzzles and podcasts and even music. There's a great podcast that's done by BBC Earth that if you are a fan of David Attenborough like I am, you will appreciate BBC Earth, which is similar to Planet Earth, the series that was very popular over 10 years ago. And they do these regular podcasts. Podcast is a fancy word for kind of think of it as a very short radio show that happens to be over the internet. And you can listen to it at any time. And so you can go to the website, you can look at the different options for the topics that they discussed, and you can listen to those. Some have video associated with them and others don't. Some are just listening. You can learn about different environments. You can learn about different animals and plants. Similarly, Field Guides offers podcasts and information on various topics that are listed online. I was also inspired by a group from the UK that put together nature-inspired music, and it's not what you think. It's not the listening to birds and birds chirping and monkeys howling in a jungle. Instead, what they did was put together this playlist of songs that are inspired by nature. So perhaps the song Bluebird. And they put together these songs that aren't necessarily nature sounds, but they're inspired or they're being written about nature or natural things. And then, of course, there's plenty of nature books, so lots of memoirs. I'm a big fan of Bill Bryson. A Walk in the Woods on the Appalachian Trail is an excellent book by Bill Bryson. Lots of nonfiction as well. These are just a handful of options that I put out here. There's an excellent list, which this link goes to, that is through Goodreads, and that has a handful of very popular nature-inspired books. Other ways that we can be integrating technology with the real outdoors are through apps on our phone. I've become more interested in this as people have been doing more walks and hikes lately with their phones in tow. And now there are a handful of apps that allow you to interact with the natural environment while you're out on these walks. One of my favorites is iNaturalist, which is what you're going to see down here. iNaturalist is an app that they integrated with National Geographic and the California Academy of Sciences. And what it does is it allows you to take pictures with your phone of a plant that you see, or a bug, an insect, a spider, a tree. And then you can share that. That information gets uploaded, and it gets uploaded in this concept of a citizen science project, where just everyday people are going around and gathering data so that we can better understand what grows in these environments. It's a very tedious task for ecologists and plant physiologists to go out and understand what plants are growing in any given area. So we're looking to people who are just going hiking anyway, and can they take pictures, and can that information get uploaded so that now I understand that at this GPS point, these types of plants are blooming, but maybe they're not blooming 6 or 7, 8 miles away. That's interesting to someone. And so you can share this information. You can get as involved or as not involved as you like. You can discuss findings with people, or say, you know what, I saw that bird too a couple weeks ago, and I live in this area. So there's options for that. There's also for our bird watchers out there, lots of bird ID apps. I give you the one example of Merlin Bird ID, which came out of Cornell. And then for our nighttime folks, Starwalk is an option. That's what's up here. Starwalk is a way to take your phone, your tablet, and you put it towards the night sky, and it can tell you what you're looking at, what stars. Is that really Venus out there, or am I looking in the wrong direction? So it gives you the context and the information about the night sky. It wouldn't be appropriate to talk about nature without talking about gardening. So lots of options for those who are stuck in an indoor space or with very little space to offer to a garden. If you have any sort of window, which I hope, in your home, small indoor gardens for herbs are very easy to do. Something as simple as this, or just a couple of small pots. Backyard gardens, or a lot of our pea patches here in Seattle, are also opportunities. I live near a pea patch in my neighborhood, and there have been a lot of people out there working on their gardens lately, keeping appropriate distance between them. Luckily, the plots are reasonably far apart, and it's not too hard to do that out there. Just doing some spring cleaning in the yard, doing simple tasks, doesn't have to be complicated, whether we're trimming up trees, whether we're cleaning up some leaves. These are tasks that can keep us busy, but it keeps us active and engaged in a natural environment. I already mentioned going for walks from our previous for our previous slide talking about walks in the gardens. You can also just go for a walk in a garden in your community. So I live near a couple of pea patches that are pretty substantial, and walking through there, you can see all the different vegetables and fruits growing. You can see what's blooming right now. It gives me hope for the blackberries that will be coming soon. And so those are opportunities for you as well. Most folks are more than welcome to talk to you as well about what they're gardening or what they're growing. And then of course our virtual garden walks as an option too. And Dr. Burnside on Wednesday was talking about getting creative with art, and I felt it was appropriate to synergize today with Wednesday and talk about ways that you can create art from natural materials. One thing that was mentioned on Wednesday was rock painting, and how people are using this as a fun scavenger hunt. You don't have to do it that way, but people are taking rocks, these kind of the river stones, and then painting them. And then they might leave them in a place, they might decorate their own garden with them, but then they might leave them in a place as they're going for a walk themselves. It kind of creates this fun way for people to look and see something bright and cheerful as they're walking through a space that might otherwise be a little bit less sunny, let's say. It can also be inspired by different types of art that can use natural items that you might be able to find in your backyard or your front yard. In this case, we have some acorns and leaves and sticks that are making people. We can do painting using leaves and sticks as well if you have paints at home, or just be inspired by a natural landscape for drawing or coloring or painting. Dr. Burnside was mentioning a couple of those as well, and some of our collaborators through Elderwise and Art of Alzheimer's are very active in giving opportunities to create art and share art. So if you do make something and it ends up being beautiful or even not so beautiful, hold on to it, because they often do art shares and art galleries for our folks with memory loss later in the year. And then it wouldn't be fair to not talk about virtual reality in this current scenario, and how virtual reality hypothetically can take us anywhere. I've become particularly interested in virtual reality for people with memory loss as an opportunity to do things that they can't do because they are living in an assisted living or a memory care center, where they don't have the opportunity to go out and explore to the level that they would like to. And this has been a research interest of mine and something I've been pursuing with several of my colleagues who are naturalists and ecologists. And the idea that we can take folks to places they never thought possible, such as the African safari, and have them experience up close and actual footage from when somebody was in an African safari, is pretty powerful. And I'm particularly interested in how we could do this for individuals who are our former hikers, or people who loved kayaking, who were ones who, you know, climbed Rainier. Maybe it was 30, 40, even 50 years ago. But can we take them back to that place that brought them joy? And maybe virtual reality is an option to take them there. So I wanted to finish this and open this up, because I'm always curious of what other folks are doing to stay engaged with nature. So I'm gonna close now and talk or open it up for questions for individuals, but then also I'd be curious to see what you all are doing when it comes to enjoying or incorporating nature into your activities right now.